So continuing here. So when you have situations where you're telling people there's all these attacks, this erroneous information, electronic, fabricated charges against a candidate, charges that are being also put in the database so some people can publicly get a hold of the information, which means now you're targeting. You're helping to target and help other people dox a candidate. Now, when you get to the point where extreme violence, gunfire, attempted assassinations, violent attacks, burglaries, you're talking about people stealing hard drives, people stealing computers. These are violations of national security. The destruction or theft of information pertaining at any level to national security are very serious violations. So when somebody steps up like me and says, we have a problem with various parties that have done this, and the state owes vast sums of money to me, and you need to immediately track down these people who have stolen information pertaining to national security and the process of elections. And then they go into dereliction of duty. Then you have parties who are actively aiding and abetting an unknown number of people, possibly Russian agents, with exporting materials, possibly beyond state lines. That's aiding and abetting espionage. Now, I've already talked about what the level is of the archive. This means some of these people are facing the possibility of the death penalty. Once again, this is not a game. And these people can never, ever be trusted. They can't get security clearances because of what they've done. If at the moment they have a security clearance, they're going to be stripped. The concept of some of these people trying to lie would be dumb for them. It only make things worse. They can't lie, and it's their job as managers to oversee the department. That means they're supposed to make sure that they verify the voice to text, everything that occurs on the phones, and police their own people. This technology's been around for many decades. I even have it myself, or had it myself. Well, technically, I guess I have it again. But there's a vast array. This investigation gets very, very complicated. We're talking about charges that go into the hundreds. In some cases, we have charges that go into the thousands. Literally, the thousands. This is not a game. Now, we seem to have a problem with people that don't seem to understand they're looking at information that basically is virtually meaningless. For instance, we have players such as Julie Sue. You might remember that Julie Sue ran the ADDED in California. There's this problem with $31 billion that comes up missing. Now, I'm not going to go over all the facts. I've already posted them out there. The extreme national security violations that Julie Sue committed. The extreme blacklisting of candidates and blacklisting of petitioners. While blatantly giving vast sums of money away. And I guarantee you people are going to step up and say she did this to try to help people that were unknown, completely unknown, unpredictable, steal money. and to get a hold of money to come into the United States because she thinks the demographic she's working with, I do believe so, this is fair territory, is going to get more people that will vote for her in the future for her own career as a Democrat. That these people will see her as Mrs. Wonderful, and they will become a Democrat like her and vote for her. So when we're talking the profile information involving her, and when you start checking on her activity, you find out that her communication schedules look like a bunch of BS. They are very narrow. She shut off continuity of government. She shut off continuity of elections. She shut off all communications with candidates as she was blacklisting candidates. How those lists were assembled, I've already discussed part of that. I can't sit here and go over 19 hours of material that still isn't fully laid down yet. So yeah, I was told she was fired. I'm coming after her. I'm suing the state. The state says we just fired her. She's gone. She's toast. She's been discharged. I'm like, okay. Like, why don't you go refile? Why don't you go talk to some of these people and see if you can get compensated? That's another story. Another series of items. But then she ends up getting a job with Joe Biden, which I didn't hear about for a while because I was busy with other problems, like people shooting at me, people running after me with baseball bats, pipes, and trying to figure out how to keep security going. Now into this, there are more problems because there's this problem with people complaining about things and getting falsely arrested, getting threatened by sheriffs, by police officers. The mystery of you complain to the state and they send people to threaten you. This is not a game, Kamala. This is not a game. SAR satellite has recorded everything right down to a blade of grass. All those phone calls are recorded. All those electronic transmits have been recorded. I don't know what to tell you. I don't see how you can possibly get out of this. I mean, what are you going to say? You were too drunk or too stoned and you didn't keep track on your subordinates and it was a subordinate that screwed up? I guess I would be forced to accept that as an answer. Of course, you would still be stuck with dereliction of duty. This is not a game. You do not send people who are presidential candidates messages such as, "You have a mouth, boy." You don't do that. Do you understand? We need to make this perfectly clear to every voter in California about every day after every day as officers came up and stole my photographic driver's license more than once. False impounds. The relationship of Arkansas telling you that information is completely bullshit, and this man was a failed candidate for the White House out of the Capitol in Arkansas. There's apparently a problem with people not understanding the information. I'm trying to make this as clear as possible. Good morning. Here's Michael Crosby. I am the POTUS candidate who was the best economically verified candidate by AI in the history of the world. The master computers say I'm the best candidate in the history of the world. I have the most developed plan of anybody. It addresses every single citizen's need, and as a master plan, it is bar none the best that you possibly have. If you can imagine things such as Social Security, imagine if every person on Social Security gave $1. Let's take the first 100 million people, that would be $100 million. Now, logic would tell you something. If you had $100 million to get the best investment advice out there, what kind of advice would you get? What kind of advice would you get to guarantee profits? Well, there's a lot of examples out there. Obviously, you would get a whole lot of bang out of that buck, wouldn't you? Sure you would. So when I've used computers, there's a whole lot of stuff that I've come up with that is quite interesting. So I decided to focus on the items that are 100% guaranteed. Let's only focus on the items that are 100% guaranteed. Let's deal with new construction and new home construction even for you. Let's include everybody on that. And then we have guarantor completion bond insurance. And basically we have various back toe systems that basically take care of anything. In other words, if you have a concept and you want to make sure it gets completed, you buy completion insurance. So basically the insurance policy aspect guarantees that every project is a 100% guaranteed project. In other words, built into the whole scope in a brushstroke is massive forms of insurance. Like if a meteorite comes down from outer space and destroys your project, well, there's a piece of insurance to cover that. How small would that be? Of course, we know that's minuscule. Larger risk item, flood. Flood is definitely included. Although there are people that are saying that we should not necessarily include people that deal with, I want to build right on a river that I know always expands and rises by 40 or 90 feet. So those are up in the air, by the way, as to the certain aspects of whether or not you can endlessly be granted loan purpose to build on unsafe land, basically. But other than that, there are very few instances. There are other areas where the computers say, yeah, boom, this is like, boom, 100% guaranteed. The only thing you might have is a fluctuation in market, which changes things from time to time. But this is still an item that's guaranteed. So solid assets, hard assets. And, you can basically, in some of the material when I talk about it, you can go in, grab the transcript, copy, paste it, boom, go over to OpenAI, bang, put it in, ask those key questions, and it will tell you I have the most advanced plans that have ever been proposed. And when you get over to, I've got 12,700 posts, basically. So when you get over to these various areas and read through the material, well, let's just say it's kind of hard for people to read through 12,700 posts, especially when some of the posts have 4 segments that sometimes, these are photographs, these are documents, these are lines of code, these are these are text images involving code of the code, the type of code to deal with certain types of blockchain, to deal with the various problems like some banks want a $68,000 processing charge on a $700,000 loan, and they want to take the money up front, so when the loan is produced from the Fed, it comes wholesale, and they actually are borrowing more money at wholesale than what you're getting loaned, so that they can cover all of their fees up front. So, it's the design, the way they work it. Well, unfortunately for the banks, many things have changed. Many of the services banks provide are no longer necessary. They're completely obsolete. because you can just do it all automatically with blockchain technology. So you have automatic contracts, automatic predetermined contracts, and you also have AI that can come into play. But basically, AI developed the material, and it's not really AI. It's basically a multi-choice contract. It's done already, you know. So that basically eliminates that kind of charges because they're not necessary. You know, which means, you know, there's all this efficiency. You don't need all these extra buildings. You don't need all these extra employees. You don't need all these electricity. So there's all these costs that no longer need to exist, basically. So we're dramatically lowering the factor. If you can imagine that we're basically eliminating that $68,000 some odd upfront loan fee on $700,000. Well, if you're figuring out how that would compound over the course of 30 years, that's an enormous amount of money, because if a $700,000 loan usually has a total payback that in some cases just barely exceeds $1.5 million. So you got a lot of people really pissed off. Depends on your interest rate. You can go higher than that. They're upset. They go, wow, wait a minute, what's going on here? How come I'm going to pay all this money for a house? Well, the system that I've designed basically is more efficient. You know, it's upgraded. You know, many of these human functions are no longer needed. You know, and so this is one of those things. So this is adding new efficiency to, you know, basically upgrade all these things. Now, this is not to say that you don't need an oracle. You know, you still have to have an oracle. That's a human being, so to speak, in the loop at some place that basically is going to review certain things. But there's a lot of ways that this is done. An oracle basically uses computer equipment, AI, to do mass verification of certain criteria. You know, so banks would be sitting there manually doing each thing page by page by page. We now do it digitally. And so, in other words, instead of one person going through 140 pages of documents, you now have an AI go through it and check it as though it's a template and make sure that all the right lines are filled in, etc. And so this is enormously helpful. And basically, you know, the AI can review, you know, you know, the work of 10,000, you know, basically loan handlers, loan agents, so to speak. So that's not funny, you know. I mean, wow, it's just in 1 hour it can do the work of 10,000 loan agents that would have taken a week each or something, you know. This is mind-boggling. You know, mind-boggling, the time saving. So now you have an oracle thing. You have a prompt to where the situation is, oh, you missed this, you missed that. But this is basically AI asking you, by the way, you missed this. Can you know, fill this line up, or what do you have to say about this line? You know, so then it can go over to the oracle that's going to review everything and say, I have a separate program. Whoop, and it's going to go through like zip, 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 just mind-blowingly fast. You know, you can't see how fast this stuff goes, and looks at this, and it's going to check and say, yeah, okay, whoop, you know, let's make sure all this looks like it's filled out good, and then the oracle will review certain key questions. You know, and that's basically how you slim this down. So you're also talking about interaction over the course of the life of the loan, where that would have been done by a human being. Doesn't have to be done by a human being. It's mostly done by AI. But again, yeah, you have an oracle factor there. So, you know, when you're looking at all these large buildings, all this stuff, we're eliminating something like 99% of what once was cost, because they're obsolete. They're just simply not necessary. Simply not necessary. And then we're adding into a non-discriminative factor that pools every American citizen as a right to have access to wholesale money directly from the Fed. So technically we're creating a new union conduit, basically. These things are creating things like, you know, American Social Security Bank. and you are, by the way, you're a member of that bank. And I mean, you're a partial owner of the bank, so here it is like a credit union. You work for somebody, you're part of a union, and your union has a credit rating. A credit union. So here we have Social Security having their own version of a brand new deal. The brand new deal is that Social Security is going to say, here's the deal. We're not going to loan you the money on this deal. Nope. What we're going to do is we're going to guarantee completion. And so we're going to act as the guarantor, loan guarantor. This would be like the comparable item is you have a general contractor or a developer that is going to develop 168 houses, and they want to go to the bank and say, here's $1 million good faith money here. Let's lock it in a 3-lock box, and that now we're covered. You got verified that I've got some good money in. Loan me $87 million, to do this project, or loan me $142 million to build these 168 homes, and basically, so then you're going to have the incremental payoffs as the various stages of the contract are done, and this comes with, of course, not only paid in increments as the proof of work is shown. Of course, there's a little bit of fronting in the beginning, but then you also have the guarantor bond, the completion guarantor bond, which is insurance. Now, that bond doesn't necessarily have to pay out unless there's a failure in the project. But the only thing that's going to happen is the guarantor bond is going to oversee that a proper person qualified is going to be brought in independently and just simply put the project back on track. So the best way to engineer this, the way I've engineered this, is that we're automatically engineering into the loan to begin with. Reset rights type of stuff, where we're going to be able to creatively readjust the loan if we need to bring additional experts in to deal with any unforeseen thing, like, a flood came up, we got extra flood damage, this whatever happened, so that's basically into the loan as an automatic feature to understand how to work that, so you don't technically have to have the real hardball guarantor completion loan insurance. You just need to have an entity that says, hey, I'm here, I'm good for it. So you're talking about no longer having a loan situation where they're going to be 5% of the loan to produce it. Or it's the bond of 5% basically with 5% of the 5%. So in other words, if it's $100,000, the insurance might be expected to be $5,000, which is too much. By the way, it doesn't have to be that way. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm just showing the rough out in theory. But to pay off that $5,000, that 5%, the $5,000, you're going to do a bond that says, we're only going to put up 10 cents on the dollar on that, $500. So that's where those usually work. So in other words, it'd be a $3,500 deposit on the loan on the guarantee, but that money is also guaranteed, wrapped up into the price of the loan on a 30-year, but it's a wholesale loan. So you don't actually have to take a dime out of Social Security. Social Security basically has the right to have people step in if they're pre-designed automatic features with the encompassment of guarantor completion bond expert reassignment doesn't work. In other words, if the preset plan doesn't work, then they come in and say, okay, what's going on? So which is a special team. But in theory, so the theory is they still exist. So you have a parent item in the case of emergency to still step back. So we're reducing the cost to 1/1000th of 1%. Basically, is was the actual layout of what the actual possible cost could be. But again, reimbursement on that is still covered into the overall loan times all the other loans, which means that it always gets paid back. But because it has a presence, it gets to collect a certain tiny, minute fee, basically as a form of profit, basically, for participating on the project. So basically, because they exist, because they're there, they basically justify the purpose for the wholesale loan. So you can't be discriminated against. So then there is a loan there, basically. So in other words, the loan has to, it guarantees the entire existence of the loan because there's, in theory, an entity there, a legitimate entity that is a parent entity, that's a larger entity, that's a largest, longest single running fund in the history of the world. So yeah, this is considered ultimate solid. So the profit ratio layout varies because you've got regional areas of the country and this and that. So I can't necessarily show you how that works. We're still working with that. I did not compute every area of the country. Some of that needed to be finished. I'm sorry. Yeah, I did have limits on my computers, especially because of these horrible violent attacks. These various government employees committing, well, very serious crimes that have to be dealt with. And of course we have the dereliction of duty, the parties who don't care about things like national security, which includes Kamala Harris, So there's the raw truth right there. We have a problem with national security items getting stolen. We're under attack. These people directly attacked a campaign. This stuff's all erroneous, and we have bad cops doxing our campaign. Look, another state's investigated. They say this will be investigated. It's all completely erroneous. We need to prosecute these people. They're going to do a minimum of 70 years in prison. And her office does not want to move forward to protect national security. So, you get back and you say, look, if you don't do this, this is going to perpetuate. So she participated directly in perpetuating the false information and attacks directly upon another candidate, the electronic transmits. That's an act of war. That's blacklisting. That's an act of war against the candidate that disqualifies you from the process of elections. So, I've got advanced paperwork. At the beginning of this, you'll probably see the image. I've got advanced paperwork that's set ahead, and it deals. There's just so many players. It's mind-boggling. It's like way over 400 players that are screwed up. So this paperwork is ahead. So when people want to come up and say, yes, they are a candidate and they went on the ballot and they got votes and those delegates step up and they end up before Congress, there's documents that are basically already placed in Washington to kick in on certain dates, and basically say, hi, how are you doing? How come you didn't respond to other candidates coming under attack? How come you are a direct participant in blacklisting of other candidates? How come you refuse to turn off electronic systems and prosecute parties who are involved in treason? Hello? This goes on and on and on, and deals with, by the way, this is all the Constitution and the Articles of the United States. And you're in violation as you violated your oath to the state, to the federal Constitution. You did all this stuff. By the way, you're disqualified by these rules. You are no longer a candidate. So you just wasted everybody's time. You just wasted everybody's time in that state because you did not deal with cleaning up your past situations, and you just kept ignoring things, and now it comes home to roost because you are a participant in attacking another candidate. Those are acts of war. Acts of war against another candidate disqualifies you. Hello, read the amendments. Hello. So I don't want to hear people whining. I don't want to hear anybody whining. I don't want anybody saying, oh, it's all BS. No, these are real things. You do not harass other candidates. You do not go into dereliction of duty. You live up to your constitutional oath. In other words, you and your buddies don't step on the necks of other candidates, knocking them out of the race, committing all sorts of violations so you can win and change your future. Hello! That's the way this works in an understanding. So that's what's going to happen. So there's no surprise here. There's complete disclosure. So yeah, I'm the guy that has 18 mobile broadcast RV archive vehicles. These things set up, boom, mass Wi-Fi, go into areas. Some of these I think I had one unit was 10,000 feet, 2 units were 5,000 feet, 10,000, that's 2 miles. Then the other ones are a mile each. This is industrial Wi-Fi, basically. These items get deployed on top of the RVs. So we go into an area, let's say it's a parking lot of a rock concert, and boom, we can put Wi-Fi across one half of the basically Coliseum, no problem. A matter of fact, the fleet, no problem. Don't even need the whole fleet to cover the entire Coliseum, but you can bring the 18 units and cover the entire Coliseum. So if you can imagine, these vehicles are there, and the most powerful cue sets and teach sets and talks about, this is how you fix your life. Look at all these things that are designed. These are real. Wow, look at the brilliance on this. How to be guaranteed home loans. How to give yourself a job. Building your own home. Wow, how to triple your pay. You're going to make 3 times what a vehicle flipper job does if you have minimal skills as basically a carpenter. Just basic carpentry. You get those in 7th grade kind of sort of, you're supposed to. The average 12 to 14-year-old would get them from their parents. Colonial times. They built their own houses in 2 to 6 months. Equivalent of a 2-bedroom house of today. Pretty much you had to, where you die of exposure from the elements. So something's wrong. Our society is wrong. There's a lot of things where they're banning people from building their own homes. So today, with modern tools, you would build in 45 years of work 480 houses, because obviously once you started building more houses, you would rent them out, you'd have more money, you would use more people to build more houses. It perpetuates. So it comes to 400. The minimal basic skill set of the average citizen, the minimal, is carpentry. Basic 2-bedroom house carpentry. And that's not even if you're you don't even have to be, that's not even adult. That's pre-adult. That's pre-adult skill set. Pre-adult. Let's keep it straight. The skill set is 1750. Pre-adult. 12 to 14-year-old, okay? So, so that comes out to 480 houses. So you're being cheated in a mind-boggling way. So part of what my campaign is about is to help you to have all this ultra AI legal assistance. I've been working on it for decades. To protect your civil rights. Doesn't care. The system, there's no such thing as color or hate. The system doesn't care what color you are. That doesn't matter. That's not how the system works. So this is the power of the developed archive. And it also deals with classified information. There's completely separate areas that are not general public, because I'm a scientist, I'm a technologist, there's all this other stuff. But even so, these mass water projects, all of these different items to bring you money, and I talk about these different items over the course of my campaign. They're pretty much all posted. Well, actually not all, only a fraction of stuff is posted in those 12,700 posts. They're on X. But it's all there. And every hour somebody's grabbing a hold of that data. Every hour another company, ka-chung, grabs that data, boom, goes out in another large language model, boom, forever all time history, this is being made. So these different facts about these hellacious crimes that these other candidates have committed are becoming part of history. And re-verification that I have the best economic plan in the history of the world, again, is going into history. These are items that are going to be in every child's book for the next 100 years. For the next 100 years. This is history. And I'm completely upfront. I've sent documents ahead. We have Harris playing games. You know, we have the California AG, the Secretary of State, playing BS games in California. You know, we have Julie Sue, mass blacklisting, $31 billion, mysteriously, whoop, gone. Okay, and then we have the blacklisting. Massive, massive situation. And again, not getting cooperation. You know, we're talking about people who committed crimes. Go get it. We'll turn it into a civil case. No. We're going to start prosecuting these people in the justice system. You do not tell people who are victims of crime, that turn it into a civil suit. Yeah, we understand that every resource that you had just got destroyed. That's why we want to turn it into a civil case, because we're evil. Look, no. No, those are crimes. Those are crimes. These people are entitled to services. They're entitled to compensation. How dare you? So yeah, I feel very strongly when I see that people's civil rights are being violated very strongly, no exceptions. You know, so that's why I have worked for decades to develop automatic oversight AI systems to be the most powerful in the history of the world. So when these 18 RVs have been basically lost, they're all being tracked on SAR. We can get them all back. So national security is violated. By the way, these leaders keep violating the law, and each and every day, each and every hour, again, the same exact notice that they were given before. Hello, national security has been violated. We need to immediately retrieve that information. Still during their election to do it. Each and every hour of the day throughout this entire campaign for more than a year and a half, as of course I was the first filed presidential candidate to be running for the presidency of the United States. When you have insurrection, there are insurrection special rights when you come under attack. I filed for them. I claimed them. Right of panel. There's a whole list. I'll spare you the rights list on that. I filed for it. You know, I put some of the paperwork out on X. I've sent paperwork in advance ahead. It's in Washington, D.C. waiting. So I don't want to hear the business about the media doesn't want to cover one of the most historical moments in modern history. Can you imagine that? The most advanced economic system ever developed, and the media doesn't want to cover it. Can you imagine that? What is the responsibility of the media at that point in time? You know, and the gravity of children right now. You go out and you talk with young people and even children, and they're horrified at the corruption that they see. And they turn on the news and they go, how can 99% of the vote be accounted for when there's these other candidates? And there's all these thousands and tens of thousands and millions of people that are behind these other candidates. But the kids, they pull out the old 99-cent calculator, they do the deal real quick, and they know they're being lied to. It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Mainline media is going to sit there and lie to children. How insulting. You know, and some of these children are horrified. They're horrified. You know, what the parents are doing in this country is inexcusable. The shame of this entire election and how it's run. You know, another part of the Zide Archive was a complete overhaul of the educational system. Again, it's something I spent decades on evaluating and understanding. So my thing was to take the best, most brilliant minds and best presenters and put them on lists and then get into a finalization where we select from them and bring the most interesting educational options in the history of the world. The most brilliant options to give people skill sets and the fastest way to get them certified. Certification. Things like, how quick can we teach you to build a 2-bedroom house? You know, money spent, LA, K through 12, 13 years of schooling, they spend $494,000, I believe. 13 years of schooling, call it $500,000. Okay, so we're going to spend this $500,000, and what? And right off the top, 50% of the money never makes it to the campus. Teachers don't get it, doesn't get it's not into books. Heads of department don't get it. Got nothing to do with the campus. It's just a big scam of ultra-high management saying, oh, we get to be paid more money and we're high management, and actually they have nothing to really do with schooling other than eeny, miny, mo. We have to make sure that one of these plans chosen fits into federal criteria or we get no federal money. That's, here you go. Here's a list. Be a monkey, eeny, miny, mo. So no, these are not needed. So these are stripped away because what do we have? What do we have as an end product right now? With an end product where flip a coin, it's a 50-50 chance that all you get is burger flipping for $500,000 in education. No, the end. My policy says, nope, that's the end. It's all over with. We're going to redo this. The fraud at that level, that kind of criminal conduct can't be tolerated, period. We're overhauling the education system. My system puts into play assisted building of homes. Basic carpentry again. Let's go right back to basic survival, basics carpentry, and assist them in learning these skill sets as well as others. It's a substantial list. Nice array. Filmmaking. It's got filmmaking in it. You want to learn filmmaking from the best possible filmmaking people? It's in my plan. It's simple. These people want to make money. By the way, they're very affordable. For what they're offering, they're very affordable. They do deals. So yeah, we get the best minds. My educational thing that I designed, the best minds out there, the best people that you could possibly imagine. So that's very enjoyable too. So you get to learn about Hollywood from people in Hollywood that are excellent professionals. That's in the educational plan. So this plan, basically by age 18, jobs would have been provided along the way. You participate in jobs in your own building projects. So by age 18, if you sold everything, didn't keep everything, because there are choice zones, you would have, if you sold everything, $1.2 million to $1.5 million in your account. And you would qualify as a base level starting pay of $200,000 a year at age 18. So welcome to the Michael Crosby designed educational platforms. Now, completely honest, that platform doesn't work in other areas of the country. That's the demographic situation of the financial layout for Los Angeles County. It's not the demographic layout for different areas of the country. There are adjustments that have to be made. So you can sit down and individually look at what your funding situation is and scale things out and figure how you would augment what that would be, and discuss whether or not you want to. Maybe you guys want to talk about increasing different deals and whatnot, and how these things are going to scale out and work. But still, this is massive overall brilliant. So, AI looks at this and says, is this solid? Yes, this is solid. Is this going to happen? Is this comparable to this? It does all these comparisons. Comes up and says, yes, this is the most brilliant plan in the history of the world for education. Again, Michael Crosby, I'm running for President of the United States to repair everything that we got wrong that I can get to, so to speak. So yeah, I have the the largest deployment, the best systems ever invented in the history of the world. But that's what comes under attack. So when we have dereliction of duties of parties that say they don't want to participate in going after criminals, they don't want to prosecute law enforcement that are criminals, that have attacked the campaign. They don't want to get involved in political warfare that's occurred, even though national security has been verified, and by law they have to. They have to, but they don't. So they're aiding and abetting people when you go through the entire makeup. They're actively aiding and abetting people each and every day, every moment, every hour of the day, with materials that are literally ending up outside the country that pertain to classified information. That's treason. That's treason. Just want everybody to understand what the law says on that. That's treason. So again, I don't want to hear people whining when the subpoenas come up and these people are brought in, and this stuff's going to happen. So I've been disclosed up front on this. It's all about fixing America, bringing the most defined, comprehensive plan, mathematically verified, that could ever be generated. It's totally mind-boggling. And, and then trying to deal with this while you have violent acts of war. I've been showing the images. There's also violent attackers on that. So all of these people who are victimizing and participants attacking the campaign, these people all have to be dealt with. This is a fight. This is a fight between evil versus good. This is a fight between repair your lives, protect your children's educational future, protect your children's financial future, versus people who are evil, who want to make slavery, who are just menials, who just want to play the beauty contest, the popularity contest. So basically they're all full of shit. And that's the truth. Why we bring in the FMRI lie detectors, that's the truth. That's the wondrous part, is we've got FMRI lie detectors incorporated right on the end of the program. So that's what we got that way, so quite an incredible deal that way, to be the best with the best of the best programs that way. So we're ready to do this. So welcome, Michael Crosby for POTUS 2024. And that's the morning show, 7:27. So now here in addition, we have another factor. A factor that if you're somebody involved with the justice system, you're prosecutors, prosecutorial, you are government leader related in some way, elections, AGs. When you have situations that involve acts of war committed against a candidate by musters, supporters, and you don't deal with the evidence when it comes in, you shirk your responsibility. Let's get this straight. We're talking about definitive evidence that can disqualify an entire campaign and say, boom, the end. Let's look at this. Now, regardless of which side is doing what, when you're looking at the violent evidence, you would think if the violent evidence were Democrats committing acts of war against a candidate, that the Republicans would want to say, yeah, let's get this done, let's get this over with, boom, we can disqualify the other candidate, it's over with. Of course, what's the reverse? If the violence is being committed by Republicans, shouldn't the Democrats say, oh yeah, here it is, right here, boom, acts of war, that's the no-brainer, we're right there, it's Constitution and Articles, boom, it's over with, right there, we got the whole thing. So what do you say either way, no matter who it is or what party they're with, if they don't come out and do what they're supposed to do? Non-supportive, ignoring of the evidence. Does this put great shame? Does this put great shame on certain people? The shame, the horror, the reality, the shame, a despicableness. Where does this go? What does this evidence say? And the people who were confronted with the evidence, where does this go? Because now we have something that goes actually even further. Now what have we got? Well, we've got extended circumstances. Now we're talking about another extensional understanding of the evidence. We're talking about people who consciously knew, consciously were showed the information, and they did some kind of decision, like they want nothing to do with it. Treason. or suppress the evidence, treason. National security is involved, and every minute that goes by, there's information that has to be retrieved. And they're going to be in blue flu? No, blue flu is when you don't go to work. When you abuse your position in office. Treason. This is no joke. This is not a game. I'm not going to want a bunch of people whining. I'm not going to want to listen to a bunch of people crying, and I don't want to listen to a bunch of people in a corrupt nature trying to accuse me of something. You accuse me of something falsely, I'm going to have you arrested. You see, when insurrection and treason in wartime occur, if you do propaganda, you can get arrested. You're running strings of propaganda, you can get arrested. The British are some of the best prosecutors in that area, by the way. They prosecuted more people for propaganda. Death penalty, no joke. We have the same laws in the United States. They're just very rarely dealt with.